everyone. I'm Laurel Sutton. I'm one of the OG LCL folks from back in the day. I'm so pleased to be back and moderating this session. Our support person is Carolyn, who you just met a moment ago. She will be providing useful resources in the chat and monitoring for questions, as will I. This session is about achieving your financial goals, and we are so pleased to have folks from Balance, a nonprofit that's devoted to providing financial advice. They will be leading us through a short presentation that talks about how you can do that for yourself, and then we'll be having a question and answer session at the end. You can turn your camera and mic on if you want to ask the question live. If you'd rather put it in the chat, that's totally fine. Carolyn and I will be monitoring the chat and collecting up the questions to ask at the end. So think about questions and just hold them until the presentation reaches an end. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our two wonderful folks, Lara and Denise from Balance.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Brescher. I am the Community Outreach Manager for Balance. So Balance is a financial education resource. We have a number of online tools and resources for you to use to help you define and achieve your financial goals. However, the main thing that we do is one-to-one financial coaching, which we're going to talk about more a little bit later. But I just want everybody to know that being on this call today, we do encourage you after this session to reach out to Balance yourselves, contact us and set up a session with a financial coach. This is absolutely free of charge for you, and I highly recommend you take advantage of our services. My role at Balance, as I said, is I'm the Community Outreach Manager, which means that I get to create wonderful partnerships like the one that we are seeing today in this session. And I want you to know, as you're starting this next phase of your professional careers, that the reason that this is even happening today is because of networking. And so as you are starting your careers and you're thinking about, your financial goals and your career aspirations and what have you, I do just want to stress that networking and meeting with people is one of the greatest ways that you can advance your career. And that's why we're here today. So I am going to turn it over to the incredible Denise Kaiser, who is our Director of Training for Balance. And she has a wonderful presentation for you. And then we'll be happy to answer questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for that introduction. And welcome everyone to our webinar on how to achieve your financial goals with guidance and free services from us here at Balance. We're so thrilled to have you all join us, and we have a lot of great information. So let's go ahead and dive in. As Laura shared a little bit about Balance, I wanted to let you know that we are a national nonprofit, and we've been around for a minute. We were established in 1969, so that means we've been in business for over 50 years, delivering financial education, coaching, counseling on the topics of personal finance and housing, and lots of other areas. We also provide digital education. Our mission, just like our mission is today, to provide you with the tools and know-how that you need to be financially successful and create a successful financial future for yourselves, achieving your financial goals along the way. So here's a quick overview of today's session. I'm just getting my notes here handy. What we're going to focus on today is really to help equip you with the information, the tools, the resources, the know-how that you need to manage your finances effectively, much like using a roadmap when you take a trip or a journey. So we're going to start with a short discussion about financial goal setting, because setting financial goals is much like choosing your destination on that road trip. The more clear and specific your goals can get, the better they'll help you achieve your financial goals, staying focused along the way, staying motivated, and really helping you know where you're headed and why you're headed in that direction. Next, we'll look at the essential steps in integrating the job offers that you all will be receiving if you haven't already received yet, integrating those job offers into your financial picture. Now, this is important because it involves understanding your salary and your benefits, but also your potential expenses. And what it does, it will help you chart your clear path toward a financial journey, a secure financial journey. Then we'll help you understand some common money management pitfalls and help you be prepared to avoid them in the future. Just like you plan for rest stops and milestones, we need to plan for those money pitfalls along the way that many of us fall into unknowingly, and how to get out of them or how to prevent them in general. This will help ensure that you're ready for any detours or challenges that come along your way in your financial journeys. And finally, we've carved out a little bit of time for an interactive Q&A session where you'll be able to get personalized directions and answers to your specific financial questions, which will help you stay the course. So by the end of this webinar, you'll be better equipped to navigate your financial journeys with confidence and clarity. And you'll also have the opportunity to schedule a one-on-one financial coaching session with one of our certified financial coaches here at Balance. To get us started, I have a question for all of you. This will help set the stage for our discussion today. So think about this. If you could achieve one major financial goal in the next 3 or 5 years, what would it be? Take a moment to reflect and jot down your answer. It could be anything. It could be buying a home, starting your own business, paying off debt, or maybe just to save for a dream vacation. Whatever comes to mind, write it down. And if you're comfortable to share it with us, share your goal in the chat. This will give us a sense of what we're all aiming for or aiming to achieve, and it'll help us tailor the session to your goals and aspirations. And keep in mind, setting clear financial goals is really the first step to achieving your financial goals and finding financial success in your futures. So by the end of this webinar, you'll have more tools and knowledge that will help you do that and help you better achieve these financial goals, navigating your financial journey along the way. We'll explore how to set financial goals and how it relates to that of taking a journey, a road trip, if you will. And that analogy is going to help us understand the importance of setting those financial goals and integrating our career decisions into our financial plans. So imagine you're about to embark on a road trip, and your financial goals are going to be the destinations that you plan to reach. Your career decisions are going to be the vehicle that will take you there and ultimately help you achieve financial success. So picture having a reliable car with a full tank of gas and a spare tire in the trunk. Just as these things ensure you can handle an unexpected detour or a breakdown on your road trip, having financial security means that you're prepared for emergencies and unexpected expenses. So starting your career with a solid financial plan is just like ensuring your car is in tip-top condition before hitting the road. Your financial goals are really the destinations you want to reach along your journey, your road trip, much like visiting a national park or historic landmark or scenic spots. Without a map, it's easy to get lost and miss those destinations. Similarly, without a clear financial goal, it's challenging to achieve your financial milestones, like buying a home or starting a business or even saving for retirement. Setting smart financial goals at the start of your career will help you stay the course and reach these important landmarks along the way. So imagine driving without knowing if you have enough gas to get to the next station. That constant worry is stressful. But with a well-planned route and regular fuel stops for gas, you'll drive with a little bit more peace of mind. Think of that in the relationship to how you navigate your financial journey. Setting those smart financial goals and creating a plan to achieve them is going to help you reduce the financial stress that comes along with managing your money. And it's going to do that by providing you clarity and direction as you navigate your financial journey. Having a GPS that gives you precise directions empowers you to take control when you're on a road trip or journey. Similarly, setting clear financial goals empowers you to make informed career decisions, and helps you to avoid getting lost in debt. It helps you build the confidence and the know-how that you need to steer your financial futures. Next, think about packing for a trip. You bring along essentials for different weather conditions and activities. In the same way, setting financial goals and preparing a financial plan helps you ready for life's transitions like career changes, family planning, and it ensures a smooth journey ahead, or at least a smoother journey with reduced stress. Finally, imagine enjoying the sights and experiences along your road trip without worrying about breakdowns or running out of gas. Setting and working toward financial goals allows you to enjoy the present and bring that enjoyment to your situations and your family life. And the now, paying attention to the now, will help you know that you're on a steady path to your financial future ambitions. In essence, setting financial goals at the beginning of your career is like planning a successful road trip. It ensures you're prepared, reduces stress, empowers you with control, and prepares you for future detours and enhances your overall financial journey. By taking control of your finances from start, you're setting yourself up for a smoother and more enjoyable ride towards a secure and fulfilling future, financial future. Now that we've known a little bit more about how setting financial goals will allow you to navigate your financial futures and your financial journeys more smoothly, let's shift gears a little bit, but we're going to continue along that same path. We're going to discuss how to integrate job offers into your financial picture. And we're going to talk about why this is an important step that will ensure that your new job aligns with your overall financial goals and needs. First, we're going to start by creating a projected budget. So start by evaluating the salary that's being offered in your job offer and consider all sources of income. Don't forget to include the potential for bonuses, the benefits, of course, health insurance and other types of benefits like PTO and other things, as well as any other compensation. And then you're going to identify your fixed expenses such as rent, utilities, and insurance. You're going to consider variable expenses too, like groceries and entertainment and dining out. Don't forget about all of those things that may add up throughout the month without us tracking them. All of this will help you understand what your financial obligations will be. And I really want you to put these numbers on paper or in an app or a spreadsheet somewhere. They need to be somewhere. They need to live somewhere other than in your head. And this looks much like a budget, doesn't it? What we really need to take a look at in our budgets is our bottom line. What do we intend to have left over at the end of the month in the form of a surplus? First and foremost, we want to make sure that all expenses are covered, both fixed and variable. But even more importantly, we need to have a surplus because with the surplus, we're going to be able to achieve our financial goals, like saving for an emergency, saving for a road trip, saving for retirement, or to buy a house. Next, we're going to consider our living arrangements related to the job offer. So I want you to evaluate whether renting or buying a home is more advantageous based on your financial situation and the job stability. And don't forget to factor in any kind of down payments, mortgages, insurance, maintenance costs if you're thinking of buying a home, including moving expenses too. If you're going to rent, you want to consider any potential rent increases when your lease is up and any other kind of moving expenses that might be related if you have to move to a new rental unit, if that occurs. Then consider the cost of living in the area where the job is located. Factor in the cost and time of commuting to your workplace too, and determine your transportation needs. This is an area where many people fail to plan if they're taking on a new position. How are you going to get to and from work? So determine whether or not owning a car is necessary with that expense that comes along with it, or if public transportation might be a viable option. Calculate the costs associated with car ownership if you're going to purchase a car. That includes loan payments, insurance, maintenance, and other things associated with car ownership. If you choose to drive, you also need to consider parking fees and tolls and potential wear and tear on the tires and the vehicle itself. Now, for public transportation, factor in the cost of fares and the time it might take you to get to and from work via the commute. I once took, when I lived in Southern California, public transportation, and that took longer than driving to and from work. So that needed to be factored into my workday too. It was an overall savings for me, savings in my budget and also the wear and tear on my vehicle, but I had to invest more time in getting to and from work. So consider whether or not that is viable for you when you're looking at public transportation. So considering all of these things that you see here on the slide, integrate your new job offer into your overall financial plan, and it will help you plan and can make considerations for your future financial goals and overall journey that you begin once you begin your career. So you might be wondering, do I really need to take the time to develop a financial plan and put it into writing and then track my expenses and make sure my budget's accurate? That takes a lot of time and takes a lot of brain power too. Not always a fun experience for those of us who have more creative minds, not necessarily number related minds. You might think I'm smart enough, I know my expenses, I pay my bills on time, and I have a good idea of what my expenses are. I'm in control of my spending. But the reality is most of us think this way. We often don't stay on track though, and that's the problem. We think it's all in my head. Why should I bother to take the time to write it down and spend the time tracking, etc.? Well, studies show that for some reason, when we write things down and create a plan, we're more likely to achieve our financial goals or any goal for that matter. It doesn't have to necessarily be financially related. But when we take the time to write down goals and plan them out, we're much more likely to achieve them. And when we're talking about money and finance and our financial picture, it's really important to take the time, invest the time in your financial future by doing this. It will help us also know how to get back on track if we happen to stray off our journey, our path to our finances. So, creating a financial plan will help you avoid some of these common mistakes that people make that are coming up on the next few slides when it comes to managing their financial pictures. Be aware of these money pitfalls, and it will help you stay on track with your overall financial goals. First, many people avoid creating a budget because they find it tedious or restrictive, as I was saying earlier. But the fact is that a budget is your number one tool to achieve financial success. This is where success starts, by planning it out on paper, if you will, or in an app. Without a budget, it's easy to lose track of our spending, which often leads to overspending and money leaks, I like to call them, spending leaks. We don't know where our money's going. We just know we don't have enough left over at the end of the month. That can lead to financial stress and potentially high debt loads, which we definitely want to try to avoid. Next, most of us are not great at saving for emergencies. We just haven't taken the time or discipline to build that savings habit. And when we fail to set aside an emergency fund, it causes other wrinkles in our financial plans. And this is a more common mistake than many people think. Life is just unpredictable, and without a financial cushion, unexpected expenses can derail your financial stability and your financial futures. And we also often look along the same lines of building that savings habit or having the lack of a savings habit. We overlook long term planning. We focus on immediate needs only, and we neglect long term goals such as saving for our kids' college or saving for retirement. And those mistakes can lead to financial difficulties in the future. So it's essential that we balance our short-term needs with our long-term planning. We also underestimate small, frequent expenses that can add up quickly and impact our budgets. So, being mindful of daily spending and cutting unnecessary costs when we can will make a huge difference in our overall financial health. I like to call these spending leaks. And if we can avoid relying on too much credit, we will have a financial future that can be successful. When we use credit cards to cover basic expenses, it leads oftentimes to high interest rate debt and high debt loads too, if not managed carefully. So it's important to use credit wisely and only when it's needed or if we're trying to build credit. That's a great reason to use credit in small amounts to build our credit scores and pay off the balances promptly, of course. At the end of the month, if we're able to, that's the best rule of thumb for when we use credit. And finally, we don't always review our job offers thoroughly enough and consider all the different factors that go into the job offer, how it relates to our financial plan. So, when accepting a new job, it's really crucial to consider the full financial picture related to that job offer. And it includes more than just your salary, it includes your benefits and potential costs like commuting or relocation. Failing to take these things into consideration can result in unexpected financial stress and strain on your budget. Uh, Neg Neglecting financial education too is a problem for many people. We just don't take the time to educate ourselves about personal finance or to build positive financial behaviors. So understanding financial concepts and strategies and building positive financial habits like budgeting and tracking our expenses and saving, those are all going to be the keys that we need to make informed decisions and ultimately achieve our financial goals and success. So there you have it. Having a good, solid financial plan and being aware of these common money mistakes will help you set yourself up for a more secure and successful financial future. Remember, it's all about making informed decisions and planning ahead to achieve your financial goals. So if you start now, your future will be grateful for the proactive steps that you take today, like starting with a budget, tracking your expenses, integrating your job offers into your financial plan, planning long term while you're taking care of short term needs. And don't forget, you have an opportunity to work with a certified financial coach here at Balance to help you navigate your financial journeys. Financial coach can help unravel your ideas and dreams and plans for the future. They will guide you in creating well-defined goals and then help you build a plan to achieve each financial goal. Financial coaching is personalized guidance to help you navigate financial decisions too. The benefits are numerous. It helps build your confidence in managing finances. It helps you to create a realistic and achievable financial plan and provides you with expert advice and resources along the way. At Balance, our coaches are here to support you every step of the way from building accountability to celebrating your milestones along the way. Let's get you set up for a free financial coaching session today. Here's how to reach a balanced financial coach. First, we have an easy way to send an email to invite a financial coach to reach out to you. info@balancepro.org. Just let us know that you attended this webinar today and how you heard about us. You can also call our coaching hotline, which operates from let's see here, 7:30 a.m. PST time to 6 p.m. PST, Monday through Thursday. Friday, we start at the same time, 7:30 a.m. PST. We close it down at 5 p.m. PST. And then, of course, you can follow us on social media. We have lots of great tips and resources that are posted on a daily basis via our Facebook, uh, Twitter, Instagram. We have an Instagram channel too, as well as LinkedIn. So now we want to open it up and we want to hear from you. What kind of questions do you have for us? Where will you start? What do you need help with? What's the first financial goal you're going to begin with as you begin your career with your first job offer? How many financial goals do you have to start with? Those are all great questions that we can help you with today, as well as any other questions you have on basic personal financial topics. We're here to help and guide you along the way. So, Laurel, shall we go ahead and open it up? Do you have any
Yeah.
questions for us?
Let's put your questions in the chat or raise your hand and we can call on you. That was a great presentation, and I wanted to just say a couple of things. First, thanks, of course. The second is I so wish I had had this when I was younger and I was just starting out, because I didn't know anything and none of these things were on my mind. The thing that helped me the most as I started to learn about taking control of my finances, as you were saying, was trying to automate as many things as I could so I didn't have to think about it. So many bank accounts now or apps have a place where you can say, I want to put $20 in my savings every month, whatever. It can be a tiny amount like that. It can be a lot more. And just being able to automate it and not having to think about it made a huge difference, because then it just happened and I factored it into my budget and I knew it was going to get taken out every month. So that was great. Um, so I encourage people to do that. If you have that ability with your bank or financial institution to build up that emergency savings, or whether you're putting it into retirement, if you can automate it, that's really good. The other thing I will say is that when I started to feel more financially comfortable, actually having a financial advisor made a huge difference to me, because the financial terrain is so complicated now, right? Like, you as an individual, you can't know everything. You can't know every product that's there. So having somebody who does know all of that stuff to advise you and kind of guide you, and not tell you what to do, but just give you the options to say, here are different places you could invest your money, and here's how you could prioritize your savings versus retirement, whatever, was incredibly helpful to me. I never thought I would have a financial advisor, because it sounds like something that rich people do, but no, normal people do it all the time. So finding someone you can work with will make a huge difference to your financial life as you go forward. So it's never too early to do that stuff. Okay. That's just
Absolutely.
my
I
my own
agree.
experience I wanted to share. So we have a couple questions. The first one is from Macy, who says, when making investments, what is your advice when planning investments for the shorter term versus the longer term?
Sure. So, of course, I would always want to start with what is your financial goal? It sounds like it's a short-term goal, so liquidity might be important. And when we're considering liquidity, we want to also do a risk assessment. What are the funds going to be used for? Is there risk associated to investing those funds? So with short-term investments, typically that means that the money might need to be used in the near future, within, let's say, just a few years. In that case, it's important to know what your risk assessment is. If you invest your money in a short-term investment, the safest place is probably a money market account, because it has a little bit more liquidity. It also is going to be less risk versus a mutual fund or another type of investment like a stock. A bond is going to be a long-term investment. So it's going to be based on what your financial goal is, how quickly you need to access the money or liquidate it, and what is your risk tolerance. If you lose a portion of the investment, is that going to be detrimental to your financial picture? Those are the types of things that you look at when you're looking at short-term savings. So short-term savings, short-term investing is not going to have a huge return, because it's going to be less risky and it's going to look more like a money market account or a CD or something at your local financial institution.
Awesome. The next question I think is really a good one. So this Crystal says, what are your recommendations to those of us who may still be students and haven't quite figured out the direction of our career, let alone seeking the first job? Some of our folks are undergraduates and they're in the middle of
Mhm.
their programs. So what's your advice to them?
I have a few tips, and I love to hear that question because that means we're planning ahead. So it's really important to build a savings habit. And as a student, you may not have a lot of money available to save, but if you can start a savings habit now, you'll really excel once you get into your career and you have more funds available to put away for savings. So, because most Americans aren't saving and we haven't built that savings habit, that's where I would start. And it's as small as you have available. So, if that means putting away $5 a week for the next 6 months, just to build that savings habit. And as you mentioned, Laurel, automating that savings habit will help you be more successful. Start there. The next thing is to start tracking your expenses and use a budget. Regardless of how little money you have coming in as a student, I'm sure it's limited funds. Um, Building these good financial habits now will help you be more successful when more money becomes available to your bottom line budget. So start by saving small, even budgeting, tracking your expenses. Those are all great traits to practice while you're going through school and preparing for your career, and really learning how to use the SMART methodology, creating smart, well-defined goals, whether they're financial goals or personal goals.
I agree 100%. A question from Albert. How often should we be thinking about meeting with a financial advisor or tracking expenses? I find myself not having the bandwidth to look at my expenses and budget more often than once every 6 months.
Another great question, and which leads me to some of the money pitfalls that we find ourselves in. I think making a commitment to being intentional about our spending. If we are aware of our budget line items and we're intentional about our spending, we might be able to revisit our budget a little bit farther out. So maybe we don't need to analyze our budget on a monthly basis. Maybe every 6 months is sufficient as long as we're on target. But if you're coming up to the end of the month and you have no money left and you're wondering where it all went, that is a sign, it's a red flag that you need to be revisiting your budget more often. So really it's going to be about personal choice, but more so it's going to be about how intentional is your spending. If you're on track and you have money left over at the end of the month after everything is covered, then taking the time to review the budget and really scrutinize it every 6 months is it will probably work for you. But if you're running out of money at the end of the month, you probably need to do it more often. And then I'm sorry, what was the other part of the question, Laurel?
That was pretty much everything that you said. Maybe there's a difference between how often you might need to meet with a financial advisor
Ah,
and
yes.
how often you would be involved in tracking your own expenses. I meet with mine every 6 months
Mm-hmm.
because that seems right to me. But I look at my budget and my expenses every week just because
Mm-hmm.
I really need to keep track of it. So I think they're different questions.
Yes, definitely. And if you're working diligently towards a financial goal, looking at your budget and your expenses, being intentional about your spending is going to be even that more important and maybe require more attention along the way. But I did want to make a clarification between a financial advisor and a financial coach. What we do here at Balance is coaching, and that really is helping people achieve their financial goals on the smaller scale, meaning building the savings habit, getting really great at budgeting, improving your credit score or maintaining your credit score, talking about student loan challenges, repayment challenges, and things of that nature. Working with a financial advisor is really intended to manage your wealth as you're building it. So, as you're starting out your careers, you have the opportunity to start building wealth if you haven't already done that. And what building wealth means is that you're investing. Maybe at first you're investing long term in your retirement plans. That's typically one of the first types of investments. Many graduates start along that path in saving for retirement. Once you've got an emergency fund, you might start looking at other types of investments, like investing in a certain stock portfolio or a different type of mutual fund, or for that matter. If you have wealth that you're managing, how often you meet with your financial advisor is just going to depend on what your financial goals are. how well you're doing tracking it yourself. If you're looking at your statements regularly and you're comfortable with the growth, um, it's all going to be determined by the types of questions you have for your financial advisor. And I'm going to put in the chat a website called letsmakeaplan.org. And it's a great way to find a certified financial planner who will be, by their oath, when they take on the certification, a fiduciary, which means that when you're working with a financial advisor to manage your wealth, you want to ensure that they're looking out for your best interest, that they're not selling you a financial product that they're going to make a big commission or loaded upfront fees with. You always want to ask that question when you're working with a financial advisor managing your wealth. Are you a fiduciary? Are you looking out for my best interest?
That's great. Thank you so much for putting that in. And I think that actually addresses another question from Promise, which is, can you talk about what to look for or avoid when choosing a financial advisor and or coach? And I think you
Mm-hmm.
just went over some of that. Emily, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was actually hoping that you could share a bit with our audience about some common misconceptions about debt. I recall years ago in my first job after college talking to some colleagues, and one of them said that he had been told that you should never pay off your credit card balance in full at the end of the month because letting that roll over to the next month was good for credit. And that's just sort of always stuck with me
Mm-hmm.
as you know, maybe a bit of a problematic piece of advice. And so I was hoping you could maybe share with
Yeah.
with people things like that they should be aware of.
That's a great topic, and credit is one of the most common topics that we get here at Balance. People are calling to learn how to improve their credit score, fix their credit. If you have debt, most likely your credit score is affected by that debt, which is one of the reasons why we don't always recommend that you carry a balance on your credit card. If you have a credit card, it's called revolving debt, and the debt that you have on your card is being reported to the credit bureaus, which affects your debt to credit ratio. When you're applying for a loan, a lender will look at it as a debt to income ratio. But when we're talking strictly about credit, the debt that you have, the balances that you have on your card affects your debt to credit ratio, which does impact your credit score. It could impact your credit score if it reaches a certain level. So the other myth to dispel there is that it's not necessary to carry a balance to get a credit score. So if you have a credit card and you're using it regularly once or twice a month and you're paying it off at the billing cycle, you're not accruing interest, that is totally acceptable and you're getting credit for that, if you will. It's reporting to the bureaus and it's helping your credit score. So no need to carry a balance on your credit card to get a balance, to get a score. Great question.
I just wanted to share quickly a situation I found myself in this year, which I think people will definitely relate to, which is that in the United States, having dental insurance is hugely problematic. It's very difficult to get good insurance and it's expensive and you never know what it might cost. And so over the years, my husband and I had decided not to pay extra for it because it just wasn't going to work out. He had to have a root canal this year, which was $5,000. But even though it was very painful to put it on my credit card, $5,000 for it, when I looked back at the amount that we would have been paying in premiums for dental insurance for, say, the past 5 years, that would have outweighed the 5,000 that we had to pay to this dentist to get it done. So sometimes you have to balance what these
Mm-hmm.
things are costing you now versus what they're going to cost you in the future. And even if we'd had the dental insurance, it wouldn't have covered the whole 5K. So it's not something that I enjoyed thinking about and figuring out, but in the end, I think we made the right decision going there.
Mm-hmm.
It stinks that in the US it's so complicated to figure out things like medical insurance and dental insurance and pet insurance,
Yes.
if you're going to do it, but it all has to be part of your budget.
It's true. And that's part of having a successful financial future is knowing how to navigate hurdles like that when it comes along and making informed decisions. And when we're talking about money management, the simple answer is it's in the math. We have to do the math. And I think as Americans, we've gotten kind of lazy at doing the math when it relates to our personal finance because we see all these ads. We used to see them in the paper, but nobody, buys papers anymore for the most part. We see them on ads and our social media and so forth. You can own a house for as little as um, $2,000 a month. I know California is much higher living costs there, but you see that in car dealerships too. You can get into this car, this brand new car, for as little as $399 a month. And everything that is being sold to us is being broken down into monthly payments. We're not taking the time to do the math and what the total cost is for the ownership of that car or the ownership of the house. Maybe if we're buying a home, we're just looking at what the loan payment is. We're not looking at the cost of the insurance and maintenance and, upkeep. There's something called deferred maintenance. The longer we own the home, the more we're going to have to put into it to maintain it properly. And the same goes for our vehicles. So yes, it's about making informed decisions and knowing how to problem solve along the way when those types of hurdles come along. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be in the math. Let's sit down and do the math and see which each option is going to cost us in the long run.
Absolutely. Here's a good question from Kelly. Any resources that you can recommend for catching up with developing good money habits if you feel like you're behind, especially when it comes to investing?
Another great question. So, when it comes to investing, I want to say that the precursor to investing is have an emergency fund. We don't want to invest until we have an emergency fund. B, start on the retirement plan. You want to take advantage of all of the tax savings that you can at this young age in your career. And third, you want to have a budget in place, identify the surplus. And then from there, you can start thinking about planning for your types of investments. But to get there, I get it. It seems overwhelming to build those good financial habits. I go back to building the savings habit. If you can build a savings habit, start on that today, no matter how small it is. You're going to be so rewarded in the future because you'll know how to have a disciplined spending approach. You'll be more intentional about your spending if you've built that savings habit because if you have the savings habit, you're going to be less likely to let that money fly out the window when you get an impulse or an urge to spend. You'll also be prepared for unexpected expenses like if your car breaks down or if you have a dental visit and it costs you more than you had planned. If you have pets, it's even more essential to have a backup plan, that financial cushion, even if you have pet insurance. I found from personal experience even with pet insurance, it can add up those unexpected expenses. So start building those good money habits now, no matter how small, with starting with savings.
That's
And
great.
to piggyback on what Denise is saying, Balance is a great resource for you meeting with our financial coaches because our financial coaches, when you have a session with them, it's not a one-time thing. The initial session is where we help you determine and develop your financial goals and start that roadmap, start that action plan. And then we follow up with you and continue to have additional sessions. So if you find that veered off of your road trip because of a detour, an unexpected detour, that's a great time to call up your coach and say, you know what, this just happened. Can we work together to get back on track? And I also want to let you know that on our website, we have a number of financial calculators for all different types of things. So if you are thinking, wow, I really want to retire at 65, here's a job offer that I just got, here's what the 401k that they're offering looks like. You can actually plug those numbers into our calculators and do the math yourself. And we're not the only one who provides resources like that, but we are here and we are a free resource for you to use.
Thanks, Lara. I
Absolutely.
was going to say that. That was my very next comment was go to the Balance website. There's a ton of great resources there. You guys also have lots of really interesting articles. They're short, they're easy to understand. There's pointers to state-specific resources and programs. It's a really comprehensive website, so please do visit that. And we're coming to the end of the session. Here's a great question, your opinion, I think. Is there any hope for Gen Z to buy a home one day? When is the market going to crash?
That's a great question. Lots of speculators out there. I think when we look at, well, first and foremost, Balance also has a housing counseling arm. And so we have a team of certified housing counselors that can walk people through homebuyer education. We can walk people through a pre-purchase counseling session where they go through affordability, down payment assistance, how to get mortgage ready, how to shop for a home, and all of those things. So Balance can help with that too. But in answer to that enormous question, is the market going to crash or when is it going to crash? Based on my experience, I have a longstanding experience in real estate, as well as finance. And historically speaking, we're due for a slight dip, but in housing markets that are as specialized as California with your beautiful 70-degree weather and beach views, it's really difficult to say, are they going to crash? Is the market ever going to crash to where it was in the 1980s or the 1990s? It's probably not likely. And the reason for that is you have to look at demand and supply. The demand for housing is enormous in the United States, and we're seeing housing shortages across the country, even in my state in Michigan, where housing prices are a quarter of what they are in the West Coast. So are they going to drop significantly? Probably not in your housing market. We may see somewhat of a dip if the economy slows. But I always advise home buyers that when you look at purchasing a home, it's about your overall future goals and financial goals. The right time to buy is when you're ready to buy.
That's great. And yeah, good luck to everybody who wants to buy a house.
It's
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 tough out
it's
there.
becoming a challenge. Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
that's great. Well, I think we'll wrap it up for now. So I want to thank our presenters, Denise and Laura, again. This was so great, so informative. We really, really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.